All right. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed your Juneteenth. I know it's kind of weird because it happened in the middle of the week, and there were some events that happened during the weekend prior, and unfortunately, it was marred by a shooting. Um, Interesting enough, one of the worst shootings that happened for this year happened in Ohio. If you guys remember back in June of the second, and that one had like 27 people injured, and it was kind of a big deal. That the mayor actually declared, you know what, we're not going to have a Juneteenth event because that was so bad, to try to avoid something like this, because it seems like anytime a bunch of people get together, something like this happens in more recent time. So he was able to avoid it, at least in Ohio. Unfortunately, Texas was not able to do that. So we had another incident that happened in Round Rock, and so 14 people were injured, 6 were critically injured, 4 being adults, 2 being children. They're still being taken care of right now. 2 did pass. They were dead on site for the most part. 2 of them being mothers. I know it was a big story with Miss Vicnair, and that was tragic in itself. One of the things I wanted to talk about was just the actual shooter or shooters, because it's multiple. What ended up happening was a group of teenagers were at one of the vendor areas during the event, and so there was a concert going on. People were doing their thing. Somebody must have said something to somebody, and before you know it, people start shooting. The question I always ask is, where do these teenagers get these guns from? Um, you know, I don't want to always assume it's gang related, especially because these kids weren't even from the area. Like this guy right here is from Manor, which is east of Austin. Round Rock's on the north side. And so they're not even from the area. I don't know who they were beefing with, but this does speak to an issue that we are seeing from our teenagers, not being able to resolve conflicts. This reminds me of another shooting that we saw. I think this was last year, where it was at a party. Somebody decided to start shooting, and all of a sudden you just have a bunch of things ringing out. Chicago had that incident where a bunch of teenagers were jumping a couple who were coming out of a Macy's. We have lost control of the teenage population. Usually teenagers are already kind of unruly just because of the nature of just being a teenager and hormones and things like that. But there just seems to be no guidance at all that's being shown here. It's one thing to just be, a rage monster because of hormones. It's another thing where you're getting your hands on deadly weapons and you're killing each other along with the other people in the community. And so this is our future, right? This is the future of people. And it's unfortunate that, they're black. It's unfortunate that it happened at a black event. Juneteenth is supposed to be celebrating freedom, especially for Texas. This was normally a Texas thing. It got changed into a national holiday, but this was originally a Texas holiday. And people can't even enjoy it. You can't even bring your family out because somebody's going to be unhinged or somebody's going to get upset. And before you know it, you just lost your mother or your wife or your aunt or whoever. The looks of things, I did notice that, I don't know what happened with my camera here. I did notice that, this kid is 5'7", skinny. He doesn't look like he's been nourished. We don't know what his background is at this point. He hasn't been charged for murder. He has been charged for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and we haven't seen other charges yet up to this point. Maybe we'll see that over the weekend or maybe next week. But this is an unfortunate situation. I hate to see stuff like this, and this does scream. We need to figure this out. We got to figure out what to do with our teenagers. Yeah, I remember this was a problem several years ago when I was working for government, and I had to go to different areas of Houston, and there's a population up on Sunnyside, where you have a lot of old people and you have a lot of teenagers. And the old people were always afraid to walk around, and they were looking for local law enforcement to kind of help out with the situation because there was a lot of shootings going on with the teenagers. And I don't know where they're getting guns from. Maybe it's the local drug dealer that's supplying these kids with guns. I don't know the situation that intimately. And I would love if anybody in the comment section knows to write that down. But what I did notice was just the terror, of the elderly. And they don't have any respect for, the elderly or authority for that matter. I don't want to completely blame this on single moms, but, there's data out there that does indicate that the single mom household has not been very kind to the black population. So we got to figure this out. But I just wanted to shoot this out for you guys. Food for thought. Let me know if you have any suggestions on what we can do. The one thing you can do for today, please like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate everybody who has joined us on this journey, especially with the great success of the Tiffany video. If you haven't checked out our video on Tiffany Henyard, thank you for all the people who sent corrections. I know I really appreciate that. And so looking forward to having more conversations with you guys. I really appreciate it. So we'll see you guys next time.